In this episode, John Lord, Robin Trower, and Heather Nova.
This album that we're going to look at now is going to be difficult, but also, I think, probably appropriate. It's John Lord, Pictured Within. Now, a lot of people that know me will know I've referred to this as my thinking album, almost since it came out. If I've got big decisions to make, or if I just need to empty my mind of everything that's been going on, this is the album I'll put on. If I want to think about what my opinion is about something and mull over all the things, this is what I listen to while I'm doing that. And it's, maybe that's just a personal thing to me, but maybe other people do that as well. It would be interesting to know. And I think a part of it for me is about the reason the album sort of came about. Now, John Lord wrote this album as a dedication to his then recently departed parents for giving him the gift of music. So it's obviously a very personal sort of journey for him as well. And it's the influences of many of the people who inspired him are pretty clear on the album. And his tastefully brief notes on the album cover, some of them were far better than I could. So get yourself a copy of it and read it. Really do. I think everybody will, when they listen to this, they'll make their own sense of it. There will be bits in there that will hit them. It's mostly instrumental, but the mood of the thing changes, and each sort of different melody as it comes along, it sort of washes over and it brings a different feeling. You'll feel sad at some point when you listen to this. You'll feel happy at others. You'll be full of hope, then you'll be full of fear. And everything will come to the forefront of your thoughts at some point as you listen to this album. Honestly, you really will. And like I say, it's become my go-to decision-making thinking album. And it's almost more than an album now. It's one of those, I know Stephen the Man in the Attic quite often talks about if he could only keep 10 albums, and this would be one of them. And for me, this would be an album I couldn't be without, because there are times when I just reach for it. It's a case of not necessarily always bad times, but just sometimes it's had a really long, busy sort of day, because despite what a lot of people think, I do a real job as well as this, and sometimes you just need to be able to turn off from all the stuff that's happened in the day, and then wipe the memory clean for the next day. This is great for that. It's great for bringing back memories and putting things into perspective as well, in the fact that there are some things that are far, far more important than others, and I'm constantly learning different things from this album, in the fact that now, the same as John Lord when he wrote this, both of my parents are gone now as well. So, and that does give you a different way of looking at everything. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are in the same situation, who've lost both their parents, and they'll probably agree with you and say you do get a feeling of, it's almost like, I'm not going to say abandoned or being, but there are certain things, aren't there, where sometimes there are people that you need to talk to, you want to talk to your parents or something about an opinion that they've got, and suddenly they're not there anymore, and then it makes you realise that you've got to remember the things that they did say, and then try and work out what their answer to stuff. But anyway, I want to get into deep with all that stuff, because that's all still a bit recent for me. Anyway, let's get on to talking a little bit more about the album. And it's split into 4 sections, really. You've got 3 tracks in each section. Pictured within is mostly an instrumental, as I said before. It's got a couple of Sam Brown vocals. Miller Anderson sings a title track, and then you've got 2 ladies, Sabine Van Buren and Christina Luxor, who provide the voices on the haunting Crystal Spa track, which is probably my favourite little bit of the album, musician-wise. Obviously, the classical musicians are names that I don't necessarily know, but you can be pretty sure they're top-notch people. On the rock side of it, it's got old chums Colin Hodgkinson and Pete York in there. Also, Teeks Van Leer is in there as well. And like I said before, picture within it brings in a great feeling of everything. There's feelings of love in there, there's feelings of life in there, there's feelings of death in there, religion, melancholy, sadness, happiness, harmless daydreaming. You can do everything to this while you're listening to images. It brings up images for me of Edwardian ladies and gentlemen poets and big rolling hills, and then suddenly that'll all be replaced by an image of some ghostly, haunting, pale figure singing wistfully at the darkened sky before you then transform back into some grandiose ballroom, and the images of long dresses sweeping across the floor and a handsome, serious-looking man twirling a lovelorn lady around with all the elegance of that bygone age that you used to get all those years ago. Then that otherworldly feel of the choral singing in Crystal Spa, which is almost like the heavens opening and all that sort of stuff. You'll just find yourself thinking about everything. You'll be pondering every single part of everything while you're listening to this. Well, what you believe in, what you don't believe in, what you want to believe in, what you don't want to believe in, what is important to you, what isn't important to you. It's, for me, this is an empty your mind and sit and let it wash over. It's almost like a healing process as much as listening to an album. It really is that special. I don't want to say much more now because we don't get into the realms of nonsense. But give it a go. Listen, don't be scared by it. Don't be looking at it thinking, oh, it's going to be far too complicated for me. It's going to be all that classical stuff. It's going to be far too highbrow. Or I'm not going to get it. I just like listening to rock songs. You'll like it, you will, because there is that in there as well. You'll get those little snippets of those things. You're not going to be in White Snake and Deep Purple in there, but you are going to get the feeling that it's all come from the fingers of the same man while he's playing those keyboards and whatever. And it really is good. I think it's John Lord's solo albums were good. They were all good, but this one to me is his album for me. This is the best one. When the one after came out, I was a little disappointed to start with that it wasn't the same as this. But then, soon afterwards, and then it's like, no, you realise that it couldn't have done another one of these. This is one of those one-off things. It's that thing where everybody's only got one of these in them, and this is it for me. Unfortunately, John Lord's not here to tell me whether he agrees with me, but I'd like to think that maybe he would.
The Man in the Attic.
Hello again from the attic. Again, it's on the same day that I did the John Hyatt review. I'm doing this one, and it's very warm up here in the attic. But what could be cooler? What could cool the blood and soothe the soul more than listening to this album that I'm just gonna have a look at here? And it's this: Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. Oh my goodness me, Robin Trower has produced some terrific albums in his time. And this was his second solo album after he'd left Procol Harum and formed the Robin Trower Power Trio with Jimmy Dura on bass and Reg Isidore on drums. And I think for many Trower fans, he's produced loads of really great albums, but if you had to pick one, if I was really forced to pick one, it would have to be this Bridge of Sighs. That's the back that cover by an artist. The cover was by an artist called Funky Paul, who did, I think, his first 5 or 6 albums like For Earth Below, Long Misty Days. This was the last album that featured Reggie Isidore on drums. He was only on the first 2, and after that he was replaced by the American drummer whose name I cannot remember at this point in time. It will come to me at some point, I'm sure. But we are looking at a fantastic, beautifully recorded, beautiful sound on this. Get it on vinyl. Yeah, I mean, you can get an expanded version on CD, but this is an 8-track album, absolutely chock full of fine music. Robin Trower's absolutely killer guitar tone, second to none. Absolutely, it is second to none. It is peerless. If I was a guitar player, he's what I would want to sound like. It's Robin Trower. An excellent sound. Yes, there's the Hendrix influence, of course. You can't deny that. But then on this, you've got the superb vocals of Jimmy Dewar, who was in Stone the Crows. The lovely, understated drumming of Reg Isidore. Beautiful drumming. And again, Jimmy Dewar was no mean bass player either. Very good. And again, they do what's needed for the songs. They do exactly what's needed, and it all flows superbly from the opening, Day of the Eagle, which we used to open a lot of his gigs. The title track, Bridge of Sighs, well, I think it's absolutely peerless. A beautiful, dreamy sound. It float you away on a nice summer day, on a hot day like we've had today. You get the track 3, In This Place, full of empty space. I'm not doing Jimmy Dewar's vocals, but again, a beautifully dreamy song. And then The Fool and Me, which was co-written with Jimmy Dewar. Then we get opening side to Two Rolling Stoned. Oh yeah, and that crooks nicely. That one does. And then a beautiful slow one, About to Begin. Close your eyes, it's about to begin. And that again, beautiful. Track 3, side 2, Lady Love. And then the closing track, A Little Bit of Sympathy. As I've said elsewhere in one of my reviews, the Robin Trower band was like, kind of almost like having Hendrix and Paul Rodgers in a band together, and it's just so nice. This album was produced by Matthew Fisher and engineered by Jeff Emmerich, and was recorded in London at Air Studios. Honestly, I mean, some of you watching this must be familiar with Robin Trower, but if you're not, this is a great starting point. The first album, Twice Removed from Yesterday, was a fabulous record too. And the albums that followed this are fabulous. But for me, I say, this was my first Robin Trower album, and I suppose holds a bit of a special place for me. Again, it is one of my favourite records. And again, one that I don't tire of hearing. It's got a lovely production, and when I got my vinyl system finally set up here in the attic, one of the first records I played was this. I'm a bit nerdy, and I've got a record cleaning machine. I put it through the record cleaning machine, popped it on. Now bear in mind, this album's been played a lot, and it sounded like it had just come out of the shop, so I must have looked after it quite well. But I've got one of those vacuum cleaning machines, and they do make a difference. If you're ever thinking of buying one, do. If you've got a big record collection, get one. They're indispensable for big collections. So yes, Robin Trower, A Bridge of Sighs, an album, I assure you, it is a Man in the Attic recommendation. You will not be disappointed by it. It is fabulous. I never tire of hearing it. much like the John Hyatt album that I reviewed. I don't tire of hearing Bridge of Sighs. It's a terrific record, and highly recommended by the Man in the Attic. So again, dudes, keep it together, keep safe, be free, and enjoy your music. Goodbye from the Attic. See you again next time.
So the album we're going to take a bit of a more in-depth look at today is one of my favourite albums from my all-time favourite female singer-songwriter, and that is Heather Nova. And the album we're going to take a look at is Oyster, which was released in October 1994. It was her second full-length studio album, but she'd already put out a couple of EPs and a live album, and also was already starting to build up a reputation as an absolute top quality performer. Now the album Oyster kicks off with a track called Walk This World, and it's a track which is, it's all 90s acoustic driven power pop. It's full of angst and pleaded emotion as Nova begs the listener to sort of come walk this world with me over a very pleasing and catchy melody. The sexual innuendo on the constant moan of want you to come and thrown in expletive is classic Nova in the way that it's unexpected but doesn't at any point feel out of place or just thrown in there for effect. It's almost the poetically spoken lilt in the vocal of the verse with the contrasting lush melody of the chorus that makes you realise what a wonderful track it is. Heal is the next, and that's a great vehicle for a high vocal range, and like most of the tracks, it's got a great melody and feel, and after a slow acoustic start, the track builds up into something which is far more powerful. Island is one of the most popular tracks on the album, and that comes next. It's very popular amongst hardcore Heather Nova fans, and it's got a dreamy, almost ethereal feel to it. It's extended to over 6 minutes, and it's got claims along with 2 or 3 other tracks to be the highlight of the album. Throwing Fire at the Sun starts with an almost tribal drum beat which remains throughout, and as usual for a Nova track, it builds as it progresses and features some interesting, in places risque lyrics. Unusually though, there is a pretty high profile guitar solo towards the end of the track, which does make a nice change. The following, Maybe an Angel, is possibly, along with the opener, the best known track on the album, and features a classic raspy, breathy, high-pitched Nova vocal over a Lilith Fair style of power pop musically. Think sort of sexier Sarah McLachlan, and you won't be too far wrong with that. The acoustic guitar and almost spoken vocal provide the intro to Sugar, which is probably the most structured and adventurous track on the album, and when Nova begins to sing the song properly, it launches into a heavy, muddy riff with frenetic, pleading vocals. It's a song packed full of emotion and feeling, and for me it's the clear highlight of the album, and is amongst the best tracks she's ever recorded, and she has got a very, very impressive catalogue. The subject matter and the lyric may not sit easily with some, but it's impossible not to be impressed with the delivery, and as with the previous track, it's got the added bonus of a nice distorted guitar solo on the end of it all as well. After the angst and power of Sugar comes the more gentle mid-paced pop of Truth and Bone, features yet another one of those classic dreamy melodies that she is well known for, and yet like most Nova compositions, it still manages to include a little bit of edge in the vocal and in the lyric. Blue Black starts off as a slow track over a staccato riff, and again displays her ability to flick effortlessly between angry power and wistful dreamy melody, all within the space of one song, with lines like, "Was it familiar when you touched my sister? God, I don't think there's a word for that." She can never be accused of holding back on the lyric writing. Certainly isn't afraid to say it like it is, and is happy to sail pretty close to the wind when necessary. Walking Higher is a slower, more gentle song. Although it's probably one of the weakest on offer, it still displays Nova's almost operatic tone to great effect, and on many another album by another person it would be the highlight. It's still that good. Another operatic wail launches us into Light Years, which is another pleasant mid-tempo vehicle for displaying Nova's unique range and vocal style, although it doesn't quite capture the emotion and feeling of some of the bigger numbers in her repertoire. Verona lulls you into a false sense of security of expecting some lightweight pop with its la 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 intro, but it soon transforms itself into something far more substantial thanks to another one of her bittersweet cutting-edge lyrics. The continued intervention of the light pop chorus gives the track a nice feel, and her whispers of "I used to dream about Verona" over the top of the poppy la 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 backing are a great contrast. As with a couple of the earlier tracks, the electric guitar is more evident than usual and takes the song to a pleasing close. The album ends with another one of her trademark tracks doubled up. It's got everything a Nova track needs, with its thought-provoking lyric over the top of a beautiful melody. The string arrangement, which comes in during the middle part of the song, lifts its song to an altogether higher plane and ensures that the album ends on a beautiful, feel-good, dreamy, positive note, despite all the angst and pain that has been evident in the lyrics of the earlier song. It is close to a perfect album closer. Despite the critical claim of her debut album Glow Stars, Oyster was really Heather Nova's breakthrough album. That was thanks mainly to her burgeoning reputation and a huge following on the touring circuit. She actually toured the album extensively for over 2 years, and the singles Walk This World and Maybe an Angel also helped to hire her profile across the globe. Very much the foundation and blueprint for her next, and in my mind, her best album, Siren. Oyster is a superb album from one of the most consistent and talented performers to come from the angst-ridden female singer-songwriter scene of the early to mid-90s, and it really is an essential purchase for anyone with even a passing interest in this area of music.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider pressing the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. See you soon.